I'm Elaine Weidman-Grunewald, and this is Anna Fellander. We are the founders of the AI Sustainability Center. Today, digitalization pervades every aspect of our modern lives. How we live, work, sleep, how we drive our cars, and how we raise our children. And every industry is digitalizing. And there's two basic driving forces for that. One is either to cut costs and improve efficiencies, for example, through automation. And the other reason is to create new revenue streams and more intimate and intense relationships with each and every client. And that's one of the benefits that we can get with technologies like artificial intelligence, data analytics, machine learning, and so on. So technology is also a powerful enabler of creating more sustainable societies. Technology can help us to dematerialize the economy through smart grids and autonomous vehicles, for example, making traffic patterns more efficient in cities. And we know that technologies like AI are on the horizon to find cures for cancer and help us with species extinction and even climate change. So the promise is immense. But there's also another side of the coin. We know that technology is and can be very privacy intrusive. It can amplify discrimination and biases in society and cause unintended risks that maybe we haven't fully thought through yet because the speed of change is so rapid.
These risks that Elaine mentioned are emerging and increasingly prevalent in our society. Our vision at the AI Sustainability Center is that a new, just approach to AI is possible that considers both negative and positive impacts on society and people at the same level as commercial benefits and efficiency gains. We call it sustainable AI, identifying, measuring, and governing how AI is scaling in a broader ethical and societal context. Our mission is to develop practical tools and methods to help organizations mitigate ethical and societal risks, ensuring that the human values are at the core.
What we're really talking about is combining the best of technology with the best of humanity. But we want to do that combination in a responsible and ethical way where everyone benefits.
The fields of AI and ethics is exploding, yet we know that handling these new types of risks are only starting to be understood. A legal and compliance perspective alone is not enough. We need the technical, legal, and societal perspective integrated. We call it applying the AI sustainability lens.
And adopting this lens is really the starting point. But what we also need are practical tools that any organization can apply to their processes to understand how to identify these risks, how to mitigate them, and in the end, become AI sustainable.
The risks, such as privacy intrusion, discrimination, unethical nudging, and social exclusions, are all a consequence of unintended pitfalls. The AI Sustainability Center has categorized the pitfalls into 4. First, we have immature AI and data. That is referring to when the data is not sufficient or mature enough, or the AI model is not trained sufficiently. The second pitfall is overuse or misuse of data. Even though you are GDPR compliant, AI can create intelligence that is privacy intrusive for you. There is an integrity paradox based on what people mention or say is their level and degree of integrity is different from actual digital footprints. Today, as clients, customers, and citizens, we give away our integrity, our behavioral patterns and our preferences, and in exchange, we get conveniency, time efficiency, and other gains. Yet, the balance of this trade needs to be transparent. The third category of pitfalls is the bias of the creator. This is referring to when the programmer is coding his or her own values, or he or she doesn't know how it's scaling in a broader ethical and societal context. The fourth pitfall is data bias. This is when the data is not reflecting the reality or the preferred reality. But who's to say now that tech giants are larger than governments? The risk is that we are scaling discrimination and bias, such as gender inequality.
The key to avoiding these risks and these pitfalls is to have strong governance frameworks in place. We believe that anyone working with data-driven technologies, including artificial intelligence, at a minimum need to have processes for governance, accountability, transparency, and explainability. And these are really the building blocks of the framework, the practical framework that we developed to help any company or any organization apply principles for sustainable AI. So the AI Sustainability Center framework is designed to help any organization working with technology and data-driven solutions to detect, measure, mitigate, and ultimately avoid these risks in order to become AI sustainable. The first phase of the framework is really defining a use case. That's pretty simple. It's looking at how are you applying a technological solution in the real world and for what customer base. Once we know the scope, we go into what we call a type of a health check. This health check is a self-assessment. It helps you determine to what extent you could be vulnerable or exposed to the pitfalls that Anna just went through. Then we go into more classical risk assessment, and we also look at risk mitigation, which is both technical and non-technical strategies for how you could avoid altogether or at least mitigate those risks before they occur. This is not really rocket science. It's about treating data-driven risks in the same way you would treat any other risk, like business continuity or cybersecurity or physical security. It's about making sure that you're operationalizing those pitfalls, the fundamentals, so that you have a complete operational method for avoiding the risks. Another really crucial part of the framework is stakeholder engagement. Most companies, when they think about their stakeholders, they think about how am I being perceived by my customers, maybe my shareholders or my employees, to name a few classical types of stakeholders. But we're kind of flipping that. What we're looking at with the AI Sustainability Center framework is not how people perceive you or the actions you do as an organization. We're looking at what's your impact on people and on society, because only when we understand that can we really say that we have mitigated societal and ethical risks. And that's really the fundamental last piece of the puzzle of becoming AI sustainable. So those are the pitfalls and the risks, and that's the framework. But what are we doing today, Anna?
Today, we're launching the first practical tool to detect your vulnerabilities and exposure to risks. You'll get your unique risk profile. It's powered by MetricStream.
In conclusion, any company not thinking about ethical risks and societal impacts is exposing themselves unnecessarily to vulnerabilities. And we know the next sustainability frontier is digital.